Let's write a program using functions to simulate a savings account. It will input and store a user's name and initial account balance, then have functions for the following actions based on the user's request: print balance or deposit money. Here's a blueprint for what our code will look like. We are going to fill in each segment of code little by little. We're first going to have our function definitions up top, then we're going to ask the user for their name, ask the user for their starting balance. The user chooses an option, and then the function is executed depending on whichever option they've chosen. I'm going to copy these and just paste them into our IDE, like that. Let's work with the function definitions first. It's okay if we don't get everything right now. We will be revisiting these later again. So we know we're going to have two functions: balance, which is going to print the current balance, and deposit, which will deposit more money and add it to the balance. So in our IDE, we have our function definitions. We're going to have balance, and we are going to have deposit. In balance, this is going to print current balance, and it won't need to return anything. It's just going to be a print statement. So no return needed. But in deposit, this deposits to balance. So this is going to add money to the balance. It will return the new balance. In order for these functions to do their job, they need one key piece of information: the balance. This means they will require a parameter which we can name anything. We will call it amount, short for amount. So here, they're both going to accept the balance as an argument. We can write the body of each function now or leave it for later. Sometimes it helps to leave it like this for now and write the rest of your program. Once everything else is laid out, it's easier to see exactly what each of these functions will need inside of them. The next step is to ask the user for their name and current balance. So in the Ask User for Name section, right here, we're going to say, what is your name? And then we're going to have a variable called name, and it's going to be whatever they input. And they will input a string, so we don't need int or str around this. This will automatically be a string. Then we're going to ask the user for their balance. Print, what is your current balance? Then the balance, we'll call it bal, equals float input. So this is going to take whatever they input and save it as a float. Remember, all input is read as strings. In order for your program to treat the balance as a number, you must use int to convert the input to an integer, or float to convert to a decimal. That was easy. Now to ask for the user's action. Alright, so in our IDE, scroll down a bit, user chooses an option. So we want to print, what do you want to do? Print balance, we want them to hit B. Deposit, we want them to hit D, or end program, they can hit T. So print, what do you want to do? Print, for print balance, hit B for balance. Print deposit, hit D key, or for end program, hit T for terminate. Alright, then the action is going to be whatever they input. And they can input a string, because these are all just letters, so we don't need to wrap this with anything. Alright, let's see. If we were to run this right now, let's see what happens. Right now we're going to have an error, line 7, because we don't actually have any code inside of these functions. So I'm just going to comment them out for now, so that we could run the rest of the program. What is your name? Katie. What is your current balance? $10.50. What do you want to do? Well, if we say print balance, right now nothing happens. But this is where we're at. Right now we have the instructions they print out. So now we need to make things happen when the user hits B, D, or T. Now that the action has been chosen, what do you want to do with it? Well, depending on whether the input was B, D, or T, the program would execute something different. So we need an if-else-if for each possibility. Remember, ELIF is the Python keyword for else-if statements. So if action is B, we want to execute the balance function. Else if the action is D, we want to execute the deposit function. Else if the action is T, we want to end the program or have a goodbye phrase. So in our IDE, so action equals input. If action is equal to, we're going to start with B, then we need to execute balance function. Else if action is equal to D, remember we're using two equal signs because we're comparing. We're seeing if action has the same value as B. So we need two equal signs. We're going to execute deposit function. Else if the action is equal to capital T, we are going to end the program. Time to fill in each function call statement accordingly. We will send the value of val as an argument to each function. So if the action equals B, then we are going to call the balance function. Balance, we're going to send val to the balance function. So remember, balance function's up here, and it accepts a number, the current balance, as an argument. So we're going to send BAL, val, which is this variable here that holds the current balance. The first one is easy because balance does not return any value, so we simply call to it. The deposit function call is a little trickier. This will send val as an argument, but then return a new value. This new value needs to be stored somewhere. Invoking the function in the way we have above will not work, because all the work the function is going to do will not be saved anywhere. What the desirable result would be is to have val overridden with the new value resulting from invoking the deposit function. That is easy enough to do like this. So we just set val equal to the function call, deposit val. If the user chooses T, a goodbye message can be displayed. Print, thank you, goodbye. So we can code that right now. Oh, we can code this one too. So val equals deposit val. So that was the function call for D. And then end the program, we can say goodbye, like that. We are reaching the stage where it would be good to start testing our code. However, that can't be done until we define our functions a bit. Again, it's okay if we don't get it right the first time. As you run the program later, more and more will be tweaked. The balance function is easy, as it will only output the argument passed to it. Since that is a numeric value, it will need to be converted to a string as shown. Alright, so let's go into this balance function and type print your balance is, with a space, then we're going to concatenate on the amount that is sent to this function. So in this case, that is a float. Remember, we're sending val, which is a float that they've inputted for current balance. So we need to convert that to a string. All right, let's try running it. What's your name? Katie. What's your current balance? $10.50. What do you want to do? Now, if I type B, this works. Your balance is $10.50. The program ends. However, if I were to type something else, let's try another option. Katie, $10.50. If I type D, what do you think will happen? So it's going to call the deposit function, but right now there isn't a deposit function. So let's see. There's an error. If we were to run this right now, in type T, it would say goodbye because we already coded that. Now what if we were to enter a letter that isn't in there yet? So what if I type P? The program just ends. Right now there's no else statement at the bottom here to catch letters that aren't B, D, or T. So let's continue. For the deposit function, we need to ask the user how much to deposit. Then the function will return the sum of the deposit and the current balance. So here we ask them how much are you depositing, then we save whatever they enter as a float into this variable D, then we return the current balance plus the amount of the deposit. So here we uncomment that out, print how much would you like to deposit. Then we're going to save what they enter into this variable D, save it as a float. And then we're going to return D plus AMT, which is the current balance. Remember, when we called this function, we sent the current balance as an argument. So now we can use it like that. So if we run this, Katie, current balance is $10.50. We want to deposit $2. Nothing happens. That's it. The program ends. It would be nice if this would then show us our current balance. Maybe we can code that later. Run the program several times, trying out each option. Do you notice anything? The username and balance are stored correctly. The balance is sent to balance and outputs correctly. However, we can only perform one action every time the program runs, and the deposit function executes with no errors, but we do not know if the balance was actually changed. So while some things worked well, other things need tweaking. Let's first work on the program allowing the user to do more than one thing. This requires a while loop, but what condition should we use? We want the loop to run as long as action is not equal to t, so that is our condition. Adjust your indents appropriately and run the program. Alright, so let's see here. This part we want to loop so that we can keep asking the user if they want to do more things. So while action is not equal to t, so now we need to indent all of these lines of code so that they're in the body of the while loop. Remember, indenting, very important in Python. Okay, so let's see if this works. Current balance, $10.50. Oh, action is not defined. Interesting. An error occurs because action is defined inside the while loop now. So the first time the loop runs, action doesn't exist. That is a quick fix. Alright, so you can see here, we use action in the condition for this while loop. However, action is first seen inside the loop. So we need to declare it as a variable before the loop. We can set it equal to anything except capital T. So we can set it to X, A, B, D, anything except capital T, and this should work. So let's run it. What is your name? What is your balance? $10. What do you want to do? Let's deposit. So we want to deposit $2. And now it should say, I think it should say, that your balance is now $12. Also, it would be nice if there was like a space between this line and this line. But if we now print the balance, which we can do since we are now in a loop, we can print the balance. Your balance is $12. We should put a $sign before that 12. And then if we want to end the program, T, we'll see what was wrong with that. Lowercase t isn't going to end the program. It has to be uppercase t. So that is another tweak we could make, is so that it's uppercase or lowercase t. But we enter uppercase t and it says goodbye. Any changes from here on will be cosmetic. For example, if you want the balance to print out after each deposit is made, you can add this line, print bow. So if we, in here, right under there, they choose D, we run the deposit function, then we could say print bow. All right, let's run it. Katie, $10. We want to deposit $2. Now it says $12. However, that doesn't look very pretty. What we want it to do is print this, your balance is, and actually I'm just going to real quick put a $sign in there, but we could copy this whole line and put it in there. However, something cool we can do is we can actually call the balance function. And we can, like we did here, we can just call it again here after they have already deposited the money. Let's see if that works. All right, so we want to deposit $2. Now it says your balance is $12. So that's pretty cool because we can call this function and this function. We've called two functions inside of one action. What else can we do to make this look pretty? So after your balance is $12, it would be nice if there was a line break. So how about whenever we start the loop, the first thing we do is print a blank line. So if we just print this, that will give us some lines. Katie, $10. All right, so now there's a space there. What do you want to do? Deposit $2. Your balance is $12, and then we have the blank line. We can also put in some dashes, and then maybe another blank line. Let's see. Katie, $10. Hey, look, so now we have some separation there. We can deposit $2. Your balance is $12, and now we have the blank lines, the dashed line. It looks a little nicer. So yeah, you can just keep tweaking this program. Something else you can do, you can add some functions. What if you want to withdraw money? So this program can definitely get a lot more complicated if you want it to.